Hi, Jean Schumacher, founder of Simply Plant Based, where I have a lot of programs to help you change your health destiny, including, just recently launched, is the Pregnancy Advantage, helping women to get their body pregnant ready, or if they're having trouble conceiving, we want to help you to help get your body pregnant ready. And with me tonight, I have Dr. Aajay Shah, who is a board-certified cardiologist. He has a private practice in Michigan that specializes in pacemaker implants, cardiac catheterization, oh my gosh, and so much more. I mean, like lots of things. And so thank you so much, Dr. Shah, for taking the time to be with me here tonight.
Good evening, Jean. So good to be with you and all your friends, followers, and everybody who's going to watch this thing tonight and probably for the next many years.
Well, thank you. So you are a board certified cardiologist. You're currently in private practice. What made you pick cardiology?
That's a great question. When I came to America in 1986, heart disease was #1 killer. It's been #1 killer for last 100 years. One would think that if we are doing something unfortunate and something sad and something bad for 100 years, we would learn our lesson. But we have not learned our lessons. So I thought that whatever contribution I can make. So heart disease was #1 killer, and I wanted to make some contribution, see what I can make a dent in reversing or preventing some of the heart disease, #1. Number two, heart disease is one of the most explored medical science, partly because being so common, a lot of the research and a lot of the funding goes into heart disease. So heart disease has been explored, and it's been really to the point where we know why certain things happen with heart disease. So there was a lot more science in heart disease than some of the autoimmune. I'm talking about in '86 now. Number three, heart disease obviously was always going to be a job security. There are always a shortage of cardiology. So even though I wasn't thinking on the line of like job security, but I always thought that if I want to contribute to the society, first thing I should make sure that I have a job which I can go to every day. So those things led to cardiology, and to be honest with you, I have not looked back. If I have to do it again, if I have to send our kids or grandkids, hopefully we'll reverse heart disease by the grandkids, but the way our society is going, we are not seeing any major dent into reversing heart disease. And that's where, to be honest with you, Jean, person like you, and I'm hoping person like myself, we can make a change. If there are tools already. We already know since 1990, since Din On's trial, that what works in reversing heart disease. And those things don't require major expensive tools. It just requires simple healthy eating, plant-based, walking, exercising only about 150 to 300 minutes a week, some meditation, some relationship, not smoking. So all those things are very simple thing to do, but people are just not doing it. And partly people are not doing it because there are no supportive role models. There are no supportive mentors available. Cardiology, even though I went through it myself, we had only about 5 hours of education on nutrition. We had almost no education on lifestyle, including sleep, stress management, relationship, substance abuse. So what I did, to give you some additional information, 3 years back, I went back to school and did lifestyle medicine certification. So I'm cardiology board certified, and I'm also lifestyle medicine board certified. So to answer your question in a long way, I love cardiology, but now I'm loving the lifestyle medicine more than even cardiology.
Wow. Well, did you grow up like plant-based? I mean, how about your family?
So when I grew up in India, I was born in '63. So I grew up before, many of our listeners, many of our followers. I grew up vegetarian. That means I had plant-based food and we had dairy. I never ate meat in my life. I never had fish in my life, but we did have dairy. For last 25 years, I've remained vegetarian. For last year and a half, I'm 99% vegan now. When we go out with friends, and if they order a dairy-based dish like cheese pizza or something, we don't say no to it because we don't want to be oddballs. But at home, we have stopped using dairy. when we go out as a family, we don't order any dairy-based food. And obviously we never ate meat. My wife doesn't eat meat. So I think I grew up vegetarian, but now I'm vegan. I grew up vegetarian partly because of religious reason, but now I've convinced my parents that there is more than religion. I think there is so much more to the health. They are also becoming now vegan.
All right. It's nice when your family jumps on board with you. It really is. It makes a big difference. So,
Yes, yes.
well, you said you learned you became a lifestyle medication certification. So what really hit you when you started to do that, when you went for that certification?
So again, my A1C, which is the measure of diabetes over 90 days, measure of blood sugar over 90 days, my A1C had jumped up to 5.9. Working as a full-time cardiology, taking a lot of calls, doing a lot of procedures, I was working pretty much 14, 16 hours a day, did not take care of myself like many physicians don't do, and I was overweight. But when my A1C hit 5.9, that was a wake-up call. So I changed my lifestyle pretty much overnight. I became whole food, plant-based, no oil. Like I said, I was always vegetarian, but a lot of the vegetarian food included some processed food, some oil, some fried food. And Indian fried food is worse than red meat, actually. Some of the dishes, you probably have heard about it, like samosas, are as bad as red meat. Samosas are nothing but fried, simple carb. And
I know, they're so good.
I know, I know. I mean, if you have it once a year, I can understand, but not 2, 3 times a week. And in India,
Yes.
unfortunately, India is becoming like the heart attack capital because in my city, so many people are eating out now this processed fried food with a lot of simple carb. So I became almost overnight whole food, plant-based, no oil. I started exercising on a regular basis, hour to 2 hours a day. I improved my sleep habits. So now I like sleep 7 hours, started doing some meditation, lost about 50, 55 pounds. My A1C now, which is a great surprise to many of my friends, is 5.1 now. For my age, 5.1. Like our son's A1C is 5.2 and he's 30 years old and I'm 58 and my A1C is 5.1. So when people say that they cannot reverse certain chronic disease like diabetes, for example, as we get older, that's not true. If I can do it at age 58, any 30, 40, 45-year-old can reverse their diabetes, can reverse their high blood pressure, can reverse their erectile dysfunction, can reverse their heart disease in very quick time, like in 3 to 6 months.
It's incredible. And I just want to tell you that Leanne Campbell has a great samosa recipe. Just saying.
Yes.
It's baked and it is divine. So just saying. She's the daughter of T. Colin Campbell. She's got an amazing cookbook. So just wanted to share that with you because I love
great.
samosas.
No, I think we will get that cookbook. Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good cook. It's good recipes and good cookbook. So, okay. What are the important pillars of a healthy lifestyle?
That's a great question. And I want all our listeners to listen carefully because if they listen to these pillars and if they employ slowly, gradually, all of them, and I'm not asking to do it 100% in 1 week. I'm asking them to make gradual change. So let's cover those pillars. Those are 6 pillars. The most important pillar is what we eat every day. And that pillar includes healthy eating. That means whole food, plant-based, without any oil. Now, people who are not doing that, they don't have to do it overnight. They can do it gradually. If you are a bold person, if you're a very energetic person, if you got a full support, you can do overnight like I did. But for most Americans, they cannot do it overnight. So start with a breakfast. Have a whole food, plant-based, no oil breakfast. That means having oatmeal with fruits or any kind of thing. There are a lot of recipes. There are a lot of recipes on your website, Gene, so people can look it up. And then add lunch and then add dinner. And I don't want all of you to go vegan. Even if you do 90% whole food, plant-based, no oil, you probably will get most benefits. If you want to be 110 years old, you have to do it 100%. But if you want to be 95 years old, you can, just like those blue zone people, you can be 90% whole food, plant-based, no oil, and have 10% calories from animal products, like once in a while chicken, once in a while dairy, once in a while fish. Definitely you can do 90%. So number one pillar is whole food, plant-based, no oil diet with 10% calorie from animal products. The second pillar, which is as important, is physical activity. And I did not call it exercise. You don't have to go to gym, like we cannot go right now, to be physically active. You can be vacuuming your house for half an hour. You can be doing Zumba, you can be doing dance, you can be doing yoga, you can be doing gardening, mowing the yard, you can be shoveling the snow, you can be going for a walk with your spouse or your friend. You can do a lot of physical activities. You can swim, and you have to do minimum 150 minutes per week. The good news is you don't need more than that to get most benefits. After 150 minutes, the benefits of physical activity start to plateau out. And to be honest with you, I see so many of my patients, so many of my friends, they'll spend 1 hour on CNN, 1 hour on Fox, 1 hour on Netflix, and stay up until midnight, but they don't have time for 30 minutes of exercise. They don't know what they're missing out. They don't know what trouble they will get in few years, in few decades. So that needs to change. The third pillar, which is as important also, and I always say these pillars are all important because they exponentially enhance each other. They almost work like a concert, like a symphony, and they actually make each other so much better that we need to do all 6 of them. And the third pillar is a sleep. Americans are not getting enough sleep. We sleep about one hour less compared to 100 years ago. Now we sleep, 20% of Americans sleep less than 5 hours. We need to sleep 7 to 8 hours. And that 7 to 8 hours sleep has to be a quality sleep with adequate deep sleep, adequate REM sleep, and adequate light sleep. So I always recommend all my patients that consider purchasing a Fitbit type device where you can track your sleep, how many hours and how many minutes did you sleep. Exactly. You have to have some kind of way, because I always say data is king. If you know what's going on by data, then you actually modify your program. You can add more minutes to your sleep. But if you don't know how many minutes you are getting, you will be always in dark. So always have the data, always have the information. So sleep is the third important pillar. The fourth important pillar is the stress management. Well, I always believe that healthy body needs healthy mind, and healthy mind will produce healthy body. I always have believed that. So I think healthy mind is very important. That means stress management. To repeat, if you have a 1 hour to spare for your health, do 30 minutes of exercise and do 30 minutes of meditation, or listen to light music, or read a nice learning book, or any relaxing book, or sit in the sun, or walk in the nature. Because doing 1 hour of exercise versus 30 minutes of exercise and 30 minutes of stress management exponentially is better than just banging your knees for 1 full hour. So I always say that combine exercise and stress management in an equal way. And there are other ways of doing stress management. If you have any medical, psychological conditions, make sure you reach out for psychological counseling. Some of you may need medication, some of you need a psychiatric care, but whatever the needs are, make sure you reach out to that. Don't ignore your mental health. Mental health is as important as physical health. There are a lot of emotional eating also. People who are stressed out, they unfortunately eat more. So again, everything goes in hand. So a healthy mind produces a healthy body and healthy habits. The next pillar, important pillar, is substance abuse and alcohol. So many people drink alcohol. I can understand once in a while having drink, but having 3-4 drinks 3-4 times a week is just not acceptable. Ideally, zero alcohol is the most recommended amount of alcohol, zero alcohol. Many women don't realize that a glass of wine is as bad as many of the risk factors when it comes down to breast cancer. As I remember, glass of wine increases the breast cancer risk about 20% in a woman. So we need to have, if you have a glass of wine once a month, twice a month, at a gathering, at a party, I understand. But every night to relax with a glass of wine is almost inviting trouble. And the last pillar, which is equally important, is a relationship. because I believe that relationship is the reason all other pillars work well. If you have a spouse, if you have a life partner, if you have a friend, if you have a family who values your other goals, your other pillars, then they will help you. They will come out and exercise with you. They will cook with you. They will sit down and have a dinner with you. They will have a conversation when you're feeling down. So relationship is as important as all other 5 pillars. And like I said, these 6 pillars, not only they work together, they exponentially increase the value of each other. And I personally follow all 6 pillars myself. I can see you follow it too, Gene, talking to you before we started this recording, that you followed those 6 pillars. And I highly recommend people to go to your website, to go to our Facebook page and learn how we can all employ all the 6 pillars as soon as we can.
Oh, yeah, it's so true. And once you start to learn, you can't go backwards. You know, you just can't. You just keep learning. It's key to keep educating yourself. It's key. That's the bottom line. And so you're right. And learning about all of those pieces and putting them together, it's like pieces of a puzzle. And once you get it complete, it's like, wow. And life is so good. That's what I love. I'm not in pain. I move. I look at people my age and I'm like, wow, you don't look too good. Wow. Yeah. You know, yeah. Not to say that I'm in perfect health, but I look a lot better than they do.
Yes.
And I'm still out there huffing and puffing and, you know, trying to do it. So I get it. I mean, you have to walk the walk. You have to talk the talk.
Yes.
You know?
I think I agree with you. I think, to be honest with you, I think for a person like you and me, this is just the beginning, because now not only we have a knowledge because we have gone through school, we have studied and we have read a lot, but at the same time, we are wiser too, because we have gone through the life, which is the biggest school in my opinion. So we are wiser too. We know what works. We know how to help people at an individual level, because everybody requires a different way of educating them. I think we are wiser that way. And to be honest with you, now we have a less responsibility in terms of our kids, in terms of some of the financial responsibility. We can devote ourselves to larger cause, to helping people. And that's what I call it. And I think I told you earlier that this is your calling, Gene. This is my calling. And calling means not necessarily attached to money, not necessarily attached to fame or reputation, not necessarily attached to any other secondary gain. Calling means you just do it because that needs to be done for the humanity.
Have you ever seen the movie The Wizard of Oz?
Yes.
Okay. So I think of myself as, you know, I think about the people that I help as, okay, you're Dorothy and your house just killed the Wicked Witch. Okay. You've got the ruby slippers on. That's the knowledge. Okay. And the Munchkins are like, hey, you got to go see Oz. So they wave you off and say good luck. And that's it. And the first person, who do you meet? The Scarecrow. He knows nothing. Okay. Yeah. But can I just go with you? So, because you seem like you know where you're going, but I'll just go with you. And then there's the winged monkeys who are literally going to pick you up and take you in a different direction. So
yeah.
I think of myself as like, hey, I'm the guide along the yellow brick road, and I know that there's a witch down there. She's going to be tossing fireballs at you. Yeah. Let's not go down that path. So let's go this way, and we'll get to Oz. So yeah, that's kind of like what we're doing. Is
I agree.
We're guiding people down to
the
yellow brick road.
Yeah.
So, okay, you mentioned you like to help people that are struggling to gain control of their lives. What do you mean by that? Talk to me about this.
I think that's a very good question. And I think I have learned over the years, over the decades actually, that people are actually in need of a mentor. I'm in need of a mentor. Even though wherever level I'm in my life, I'm still searching for a mentor because I want to grow into other areas. Same way, every person I know is in need of a mentor. And I think what I bring on the table as a mentor to many people is my medical knowledge, my medical school, my cardiology fellowship, my lifestyle fellowship and lifestyle board certification, and my experience, and partly my way of handling every person. I take every person as a family member. I see them as a father, mother, brother, sister, or son, daughter, whatever, as if they are my family member. I never stand and see them. I always sit down and see them, because when you stand and see them, they feel like you are in rush and you want to get out of the room before even time is over. So I always sit and talk to them. I always look in their eyes. Because of COVID-19, we cannot touch them, but I always, many times, hug them. If they accomplish something, I always made sure that my saying is, I'm so proud of you. That's my pat saying, because many people, many times, they have not felt proud for last 1 month. Whatever the reason, because the relationships are crumbling, many times they are lonely, many times at workplace they have a stress, so nobody even has said to them that somebody is proud of them. I think every kid needs that, but every adult needs that too. So when it comes, absolutely. So when it comes down to helping people, my mission is to not just educate them, not just to mentor them, but make them empower themselves, so they feel like they are in driver's seat. I'm just the Google map taking them wherever they need to go.
Wow, I like that. The Google map. You're the Google map. I like that. I like that analogy. Good one. Okay. I like your slogan that you have, a happy mind for a healthy body. Talk to me about it. How did you come up with that one?
Well, that slogan is very important, because I always see, many times in the school we are taught that body goes where mind goes. But in my opinion, that's not true. Both are so intertwined. Mind and body are so intertwined. When a healthy mind is there, like I said earlier, body will follow to do the right thing. When body is crumbling, mind cannot function. And we have many, many medical conditions where both mind and body are equally affected. For example, diabetes. Diabetes affects equally the body and as much the mind. High blood pressure affects equally the body, equally the mind. Aging itself affects equally the body and the mind. So we have to take both of them in consideration when we want to make the person live long and have a longer health span. So I always had a motto that take care of the mind and take care of the body both in an equal way. And I think I've been very successful personally at my own level, at a personal level. Whenever I've taken care of my mind, I always have done better physically. And whenever I exercise, whenever I've slept better, my mind is sharper next day. So I think I personally believe that many people ignore their mind to take care of their body, and some people ignore their body to take care of their mind. Both needs to be equally taken care of. And I think my mission on our Facebook page, I consistently advise and consistently recommend that take care of both.
That is awesome. I love it. I love it. So, cardiologist. Okay, let's start with the basic, because sometimes a lot of people don't know what causes cardiology issues. So, what is coronary artery disease?
So again, like I said earlier, for last 100 years, more Americans are dying from heart disease than many other diseases combined. And we would think that in last 100 years, if we are keep getting banged by this major disease, we would learn our lessons and we would change ourselves. Unfortunately, we have not. It's still #1 killer. Canada, right, our neighbor, just north of me, cancer is #1, heart disease is #2. So they are gradually learning, they're gradually changing their lifestyle. So when we talk about heart disease, the #1 heart disease is heart blockage or coronary artery disease. What it means that there are plaque buildup, there are narrowing of the arteries on the top of the heart, on the surface of the heart. And those narrowing, those plaque buildup typically happen because of cholesterol buildup when people have a high cholesterol. And there are other risk factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, smoking, male gender. All those risk factors and family history can lead to the plaque buildup. And when the plaque buildup happens, just like in a pipe in your house, the water pipe in your house, there is a corrosion, and then eventually water cannot go through. Same way, when the plaque buildup happens in the arteries of the heart, blood cannot go through. And that's when person starts getting chest pain when they exert themselves. And when that happens, because of chest pain, the person will come and see me and say, Dr. Shah, I'm having chest pain when I mow my yard. or when I shovel the snow, or when I run a treadmill. And I will do proper tests to see if he has a heart blockage or not. So that's a more of a benign, that's a more of a okay way of coming to me. But the reason I worry about heart blockage, that many people, unfortunately, still about 10% of people, their first symptom is when that plaque, which is the narrowing, the plaque, suddenly plaque actually cracks. It suddenly ruptures, we call it, plaque rupture, and there is a clot formation, blood clot formation at the plaque, and that clot actually mushrooms and closes up the lumen or the opening completely in an instant. And that's when we call it beginning of the heart attack. And when the heart attack starts, 10% of people die on the spot. And those are the people I worry more. I actually worry less about heart blockage when they start having chest pain on exertion, because then I have a time to fix them. But when somebody has a first warning, when they have a first warning as a heart attack, when the plaque ruptures, then many times I'm not even available at 2 in the morning. Many times even 911 comes in 5 minutes, 6 minutes, but they're already into cardiac arrest. And if they're at home, if the family member is not able to do CPR, unfortunately, a death can happen. So heart disease is still a major, major, major threat to a young person, major threat to the whole society. And that actually is becoming all over the world now. Thanks to our westernized diet, westernized lifestyle, India is becoming heart attack capital actually. India has more heart disease than any other country. And that obviously needs to change. India cannot afford all these stents and bypass procedures. So that's number one. Heart blockage is number one heart disease. Number two heart disease is heart failure. Heart failure means person having shortness of breath, person having fatigue, and that happens because heart is not able to pump the blood as efficiently as a normal heart would be. And there are two types of heart failure. One we call systolic heart failure, where heart muscle gets weaker and cannot pump out the blood. And second one we call diastolic heart failure, when heart muscle gets actually stiffer. And without going into details, if the heart failure happens, there are medications which can help you. There are some procedures which can help you. So reach out to your cardiologist, reach out to your doctor. But remember, heart failure is a second important heart disease. The third important heart disease, which I see almost every fifth or sixth patient in my practice, is called atrial fibrillation. And many of your viewers, many of your followers have atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation becomes very common as we get older. People who have high blood pressure, people who have heart disease, other type of heart disease. So atrial fibrillation is a third common thing. There are other uncommon heart disease, but these three are the major, major important heart disease. And also, when it comes down to heart disease, we have to lump high blood pressure into that disease, because high blood pressure is a form of a disease which can lead to the heart disease. 50% of Americans have high blood pressure. So that's very, very alarming. That can be reversed. And if we help, Gene, with your help and with your website and with a going whole food plant-based, not having any salt, people can reverse their high blood pressure, people can actually get off the blood pressure medication, and people can prevent many complications of high blood pressure.
Oh, it's true. It's so true. It's so preventable and so reversible. It can be, like, I love Caldwell Esselstyn. It's a toothless paper tiger, you know?
Toothless paper tiger, yes.
I love that. He's just amazing. Okay, so you as a cardiologist, you deal with, coronary artery disease, heart valve blockages, heart failure. Are you seeing an increase in these diagnoses?
Yes. In terms of the heart attack itself and heart blockage, the disease is still progressing. I think I'm seeing more and more prevalent. And unfortunately, I'm seeing in younger and younger patients. Matter of fact, it's pretty interesting. While we were just talking earlier before we started our program, and you saw that I took a phone call from emergency room. Emergency room had a 45-year-old person having heart attack. So I think this is something of a major concern. A lot of young, a lot of people with a lot of dreams, a lot of hopes, a lot of fathers, a lot of young fathers with young kids are having heart attack. And when that heart attack happens, either person can die or they can get crippled from weakness of the muscle and they can get into heart failure. So this needs to be stopped. So that definitely heart disease and heart attack and heart blockage is getting more and more prevalent. Atrial fibrillation is getting more prevalent, partly because people are getting obese. Obesity is one of the risk factors for atrial fibrillation. People are getting sleep apnea. People are getting more and more high blood pressure. People are getting more and more diabetes. So again, atrial fibrillation is definitely becoming more common. When I came to the United States, when I got in cardiology fellowship 30 years ago, atrial fibrillation was probably in my own seeing patients was 1 in 15, 1 in 12. Now it's almost 1 in 4, 1 in 5. So atrial fibrillation has almost tripled in last 25 years. And atrial fibrillation is an expensive disease because atrial fibrillation can cause stroke. They need to be on expensive blood thinners. So again, overall, heart disease still #1 killer, still becoming very common, and that's all because of lifestyle. And that's where, to be honest with you, person like you, hopefully person like me, can make a major, major difference.
Right. That's why I do this, to get the word out, to educate, because once you know this knowledge, it's a tool, and it helps you to change. Because I grew up, I mean, I did what my parents did, and I, raised my children the way my parents raised me. And I realized down the road that I hurt my kids on so many different levels because, and I did what I thought I was right, knowing, giving my children dairy. I thought that was right. I thought that was good. Yeah, no. And so it caused some definite health issues in my children. And I want to kind of atone for my sins and make up for what I do, and to try and get the word out so that people can understand this. And so, especially before they get pregnant, which is one of the reasons why Dr. Shapiro and I set this up, to help women to get their bodies ready. They don't call it labor for nothing, honestly. They don't. But if we can get them before they even come out of the chute, we can catch them and they're healthy, coming out. That's what I want to do. That's, I want to help people to change their health destiny, because we can. I mean, share.
I think let me also tell you what I feel. I think what I realized and what I've seen personally myself, that a lot of this unhealthy habits we had, a lot of this wrong knowledge we had, and that's not partly our fault. Even, a lot of the College of Cardiology, a lot of American Diabetic Association, a lot of associations were recommending. And like, again, knowledge is always in a growing field. We learn more from our mistakes. So I think mistakes, the good thing, Gene, good thing is, fortunately, body is not like a car. If you forgot to change oil in the car will stop. But body is a self-healing machine. If you give few weeks to few months of right nutrition, right exercise, right sleep, most of your mistakes will be forgiven. And you will be as good as new again, which can never happen to the car, but to your body, you can be as good as new. You can reverse your aging by 10, 15, 20, 25 years just by going whole food, plant-based, no oil, regular exercise, sleeping, stress, all the 6 pillars. You can reverse your age and you can feel like nothing happened to you. I mean, that's a power. That's a power of healthy lifestyle, that you can be forgiven.
It's true. It's true. Share some of your favorite success stories, that you've seen from some of your interventions.
Of course, I have many success stories, and lately I have even more because I'm more into lifestyle medicine now. So give you an example. I have a patient. She partly knows that I talk about her because she has agreed to say that. I'm not going to give any names, but I'm going to describe her. And she's coming live on our Facebook page in 2 weeks to tell her story, so everybody will know about it. But she is a shining example. She's a 66-year-old white woman, 330 pounds, 25, 30 years of diabetes, 200 units of insulin every day, 200 units. She just came across our Facebook page, just like people come across your website, not knowing you personally, not even my patient, and she liked what we were offering without any intention to gain anything out of it, just as a service, just like what you do, Gene. And she called me up and she sent me a message on Facebook that I want to come and see you. She lives about 70, 80 miles from where I practice. I said, you don't have to come and see us. We can do a televisit. So we just did a phone call. Fortunately, because of this COVID-19, Medicare covers now the televisits. So I just did a one televisit with her, just one televisit with her. And then I put on this program where we started on whole food, plant-based, no oil. She went from page 216 from It to Live book from Joe Furman. And many people should know that page. It's page 216 from book It to Live. That page, in my opinion, is the most important page in my life. So many people have changed their life from page 216. Page 216 says that what food is allowed. That means Dr. Furman is recommending 1 pound of raw food, raw vegetables, 1 pound of cooked vegetables without any oil, 5 servings of fruits. Those are must. And then if you need to add more calories because you are active, then add intact grains. So those are the things which are every day. And then some of the foods which are partly allowed is 2 tablespoons of flaxseed. If you are not overweight, then adding some small amount of nuts, like 1 ounce of nuts. And definitely he does not allow dairy or any kind of meat products, no juice. So he doesn't allow certain things. So she went on whole food, plant-based, no oil, and she did it overnight, just like what I did. She started losing weight, and let me tell you, she started with me. Today is day 32. Today is day 32, and she has lost 26 pounds. Her insulin from 200 units has come down to about 70 units. Her sugars are running low now. She's more active now. She's sleeping better. She's so empowered. She's writing a journal now, which is a major thing I recommend all the people to do, because when you write the journal, you can look back on your progress and you feel so proud that where you were and where you are. See, many times our memory forgets where you were. But if you write a journal that I was 330 pounds just 5 weeks ago, and now I'm this low, and my sugars are coming down, my insulin is coming. You can compare your notes, and that becomes your self-motivator, and she's doing it, and I'm helping her. So she is one of my biggest recent success. I have had many other success, many reversal of heart blockage, many people who could not walk about 500 steps, now they are walking 2-3 miles without getting any chest pain. And the trick I do with them is I ask them, Gene, to start walking 5 minutes every hour the minute they wake up. So 7 o'clock, if they wake up, they walk 5 minutes at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock, they walk 5 minutes. 9 o'clock, they walk 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is not too much, particularly if they're retired, obviously. If they're home, 5 minutes every hour is not too much to ask. After a week or two, I ask them to make it 6 to 7 minutes. And in about 6 to 8 weeks, they are walking 20 minutes 2-3 times a day. That's a 1 hour of walking every day. The chest pain starts going away because as person walks, our heart is a wonderful, wonderful organ, just like our body. Heart actually starts making, we call new collaterals or new channels, and it bypasses the blockage. So there are natural bypasses created, just like a surgeon would do bypass. A person, a patient is creating his or her own bypass just by challenging the heart every hour and building it up. So there are many success stories, and these are not my success stories. These are the success stories of every lifestyle physician. These are the success stories of every person like you, Gene. You probably have more success stories than I have, actually. And I'm very proud of you.
Well, thank you. And I was just thinking back, you were adding, on Fitbit, they give you, it buzzes you to say, hey, time to get up.
Every hour.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they want you to get at least 250 steps. So
every
there
hour.
you go. I love it because it's like, hey, I haven't gotten up yet. Or, I tend to sit on instead of, because I do a lot of video work and stuff. So instead of sitting on a chair, I sit on a ball. So I'll be bouncing around and moving and, keeping my body going, which is great because it also picks it up on the Fitbit. So.
No, I think, Gene, let me tell you one thing. You have invited me to be your guest. Actually, honor will be bigger if you come as our guest in 1 month.
Well,
I
I
think
look
you
forward to
have
that.
so much to teach. And plus, I think not only you are very good at this, is this medical knowledge side, but you are also good as a coach. And you also have a great skill in terms of how to help people with technology. I think I saw your website. I think if people go to your website, they don't have to go anywhere else. They don't have to go anywhere else. They don't have to read any book. They don't have to watch any YouTube video. If they stay on your website, there will be new people in 3 months.
It's true. Thank you. But I'm an educator. That's what I do well. You fix hearts, I teach. So,
Yes, yes.
you know. So what does a day in the life of Dr. Shah look like in terms of what you eat? Walk us through your day.
So I'll walk you through my day. So I wake up around 6 o'clock in the morning, and I leave for work around 6:45. I have 1 hour commute. So I commute 1 hour, and I actually take the 1 hour commute as my own time. So I call my parents. My parents live in India, so I call them 3-4 times a week, so they know what's going on in my life and their life. I listen to all different type of podcasts, YouTube videos, and other things. And I take a mental note whenever I'm listening to it. And I'm really relaxed when I'm commuting. My uh, kind of trick to commuting is that I get behind a semi, so I cut all the wind. I have a radar cruise, even though I drive a simple car, but I have a radar cruise. So I'm on a radar cruise, and trucks are going at 60, 65. So I'm behind them, and I'm on radar cruise. I never get a ticket. Police will never catch me. I'm always in the right lane. I'm always not facing any wind. So I get the best mileage in my car. And I'm always listening to my podcast or YouTube. I never have to worry about putting a brake. I'm just like enjoying my ride for a whole hour. The thing, all our followers and listeners always get behind a semi. You may get to your place 6 minutes later, but the commute will be so much easier, so much fun, and your car will give you better mileage. So that's my trick, my kind of a hack to get behind a semi, to get the best mileage and the best time when you're commuting. So I get to work around 7:45, 8 o'clock, and then I start walking in the hospital in between patients. So I never sit. I always am walking. If there is a 5 minute between the patients, that's a 500 steps. So I tell everybody that if you have a 3 minutes, go for a 3 minute walk. That's a 300 step. If you do it 20 times in your work, that's a 6,000 steps at work. You don't have to worry about like sitting and getting, like we know now, sitting is new smoking. People who sit, even if they go to gym in the evening, but if they sit for 8 hours, they still get in trouble. So we have to move every hour. So I move not only every hour, I move every 10, 15 minutes. I take my lunch from home.
Well,
So
wait, what'd you have for breakfast?
I typically don't eat breakfast. My first meal is at 10 o'clock at work.
Okay.
So I take my early like a 10 o'clock 10 o'clock snack and a 1 o'clock lunch. So I take food from home. So I almost do like intermittent fasting. So I have a longer hour of break. So I don't skip the breakfast, but my breakfast is around 10 o'clock.
Okay.
And so around 10 o'clock, either I have a fruit or I have oatmeal sometimes, or sometimes I have an Indian dish, which is typically whole food plant-based. So at 10 o'clock, I have a light, about 400 calorie, 500 calorie breakfast. And then I continue walking in between patients. And around 1 o'clock, I have my main lunch. And again, my lunch is homemade, typically whole food plant-based, no oil. Many times it's Indian dish. Sometimes it's a sweet potato. Sometimes just a simple whole food plant-based, because we are vegan anyway. And then around 4 o'clock, I start driving back to home. And again, I get behind the semi again. I listen to my podcast, and I sometimes make a phone call to friend because I value relationship. And I take this time as a catching up on my relationship, catching on my friendship. Sometimes I call our kids. I come home around 5 o'clock, 4:45, and I have a quick meal, very light meal. My dinners are relatively light dinners. And then I start walking. I walk at least hour and a half to 2 after my meal every day. Every day I walk. My average steps for 2020 per day is 21,000 steps.
Wow.
21,000, Gene.
That's
And
a lot.
average for America is 2 to 4,000. 21,000 steps means walking 3.5 hours. So I walk every day 3.5 hours. That's about 9 to 10 miles a day. I walk every day. And I'm not saying today. Fitbit, as you know, Fitbit gives you average for the year. This is my average. So every day I walk. I do weight training about 2-3 times a week. I do some stretches. And then I typically don't watch much news. I may be watching 10-20 minutes of quick news. Sometimes I just get it from CNN. I'm not big into news, but at the same time, I like to know what's happening in the country, what's happening in the world. But most people, to be honest with you, they don't need more than 10 or 15 minutes of news. You know, they don't need to know everything happens in every corner in the world. That's not necessary. Many of them know everything happens in the world, but they don't even know what happens in their kid's life or their spouse's life. So that needs to change. So I will get minimum news. And then in the evening, I always have a half an hour to 1 hour of reading. Reading is my #1 passion. I read every day. Believe it or not, Jean, I read average 100 to 150 books a year. And
this is the book I'm reading right now.
Kirsty Funk, yes.
Yes. Great book. Oh my God.
Another hack I can give you, that when you read one book, order 2 books. Because people say that libraries with 100 books is a sign of intelligence and knowledge. Library with 100 books, you have not even touched them. Just have the books, because you never know when you're going to get that free half an hour, and that half an hour in a 100 book may give you an idea which may make your whole day, whole week, whole month, whole year, whole decade, or whole life. Just one idea from that half an hour of 100 book. So whenever I like any book, I just order it. I don't know when I will get to it. I just order it. Fortunately, I can afford it. But to be honest with you, I don't spend money, like you said earlier. I don't spend money in expensive cars or expensive vacations or expensive clothes or expensive restaurants. I rather spend money into books.
Me too.
And personal growth.
Yep, that's me.
So that's my day.
I wish you could see down below me, because like I've got shelves underneath my desks that are just filled, and I keep spilling out between cookbooks.
And I go to sleep around 10. I go to sleep around 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Yep, and you need to get that solid nights of sleep. You need to power down and do that. Well, what advice could you give for somebody who's just starting out?
That's a great question. I think many doctors, unfortunately, overwhelm people. I personally believe in starting small. If you are able to change overnight, more to it, do it, and you will enjoy it. But at the same time, for most people, including for myself, making a small step is very important. So if you want to go whole food, plant-based, no oil, start with a breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever is easy for you. If you want to go grocery shopping, just start buying more vegetables. You don't have to eliminate everything you do. Just start buying more vegetables. And the good thing is, once you start making changes in your eating, your body starts to feel so much better. And to be honest with you, when you eat those vegetables, the fiber coming in makes you so full and so satiety that you automatically stop eating unhealthy food. So just add small fiber-based, whole food, plant-based items in your meal. You don't have to go all the meals. Just start with 1 meal, 2 meals, then add as you go. Same with exercise. Just start with walking 5, 10, 20 minutes a day. You don't have to go to gym for hours and hours. Just start small. Just do 5 minutes of meditation. And meditation means you don't have to get an app. You don't have to go through YouTube. Just sit down on a couch, close your eyes, and just let the breath go through your nose, and just observe that breath. Just observe it. I do that at work all the time. Whenever I have 5 minutes, I just close my eyes and I just observe the breath. So do some meditation. Have a conversation with your spouse for 10 or 15 minutes. Call up a friend. So start very small. And to be honest with you, when you make these small steps, the benefits start coming so quickly and such a large amount that one day you will want to do more and more and more so quickly. But start always small, so that way you don't get overwhelmed, because we all have other responsibilities in our life. We cannot make all those changes overnight, because we still have a full-time job. Many of us have kids. Many of us have parents to take care of it. Many of us have other issues to take care of it. So all those requires our attention. So put attention in yourself, start small, but eventually make yourself the most important person.
Well, thank you so much. It has been so inspirational talking to you tonight. Truly. I mean, I wish there were more cardiologists like you out there that had such caring for their patients. And not to say that other cardiologists don't, but you have to have that connection. You have to have that rapport. And you obviously go above and beyond to connect with your patients to help them to transition. So thank you so much. I
Thank you,
really
Jean.
appreciate your time tonight and the advice that you've given and sharing with us your journey. So I
Thank you
really
very much.
appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.